From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
15 years later.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. I'm Nick Barris, coming to you live and direct. If you're watching this on Monday morning, this is me. Right now, we're going to open up the phone lines for you. I hope you had a good weekend. Boy, Saturday was awesome. Great day to get out with your pets, your dogs, your cats, whatever. It's gorgeous on Saturday. Sunday, still nice, and I hope you had a good Easter. For me, I had a good April Fool's Day. I always get burned on things. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. This morning, though, we will get into taking care of your pets. You see on the screen, Ask the Vet, 737-7587. If you want to jump in and join in the conversation, we'd love to have you as we're talking with Veterinarian Allison Fields.
Hello.
Hello. It's nice to have you.
I find it really surprising that you get burned on April Fool's, because I would think that you would be the April Fool's prankster.
I guess, well, with me, I don't do it because everyone's on to me, because they think that. Anything Nick says on April Fool's Day is baloney, so no one listens to me. I can't pull anything off. And somehow I just forget sometimes. I'm running around and someone hits me with something. What did you say? Or whatever.
That's really funny.
Nothing too bad yesterday. Did you get burned by anything yesterday?
No.
No April Fool's? Yeah, it's kind of odd because yesterday was April Fool's and Easter.
Yeah, it was.
So, you know.
Yeah, I don't usually do April Fool's jokes either, because when I was like 9, I thought it would be, I had like learned about April Fool's, and I thought it'd be really fun to pull an April Fool's joke on my mother, who I knew got up every morning and drank coffee. And so I replaced all of the sugar in the sugar bowl with salt. Really didn't realize that my mom didn't use sugar in her coffee. She drank it black, and the only person in the house who did use sugar was my mother on my cereal.
You talk about a backfiring
So
prank.
I April Fool's myself.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was the end of that.
That's
for me.
enough.
I was like, okay, I'm good. And I was like 9. So yeah, I don't do it anymore.
Well, my rule of thumb is pranks every other day of the year, except for April 1st.
Right, exactly.
That's
so
what I'll do.
you behave on April Fool's.
You
Okay.
know. All right, lots of things to talk about this morning. We'll get the phone lines open, but I wanted to hit you on a couple things real quick. And you said you saw this on my Facebook post, and we're doing some follows on this. Of late, not locally, and I know you're here in the Nashville, Davidson County area, there have been dogs turning up, shot, killed, and dumped in some of these rural areas. It is horrible. And just your thoughts on that in terms, I know I asked you if you see animals come in with gunshot wounds. You say mostly pellet wounds, but... I thought about it.
I think I've seen like one gunshot wound, active gunshot wound, in almost 20 years, but I've seen a lot of animals, cats and dogs, that come in. You know, they've been owned by this family for 10 years, and they come in and we need to take x-rays for some reason, and we find BBs, pellets, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, your dog's been shot at some point. Fine now, and you know, a lot of times when we start looking, we can actually feel them under the skin. You know, I think a lot of times people who have livestock specifically, I mean, it is, you are not supposed to trespass on other people's property. And I think there are some people who have livestock that get really tired of having dogs come in and chase, harass, hurt, whatever, their livestock. Sure. And I think that the first step would probably be trying to figure out who the dog is. Sometimes that's not possible if your dog doesn't have a collar on, if your dog just runs when somebody calls it. And I think that part of it, it's like out in the West where they shoot wolves and mountain lions and bears when they're coming onto the rancher's property. You have to protect your investment. I am not saying it's right, but I think that some of it probably stems from that.
What else could it be? That's the
just bad people. I mean, kids taking, I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer used to kill cats and dogs, and you know, I mean, people will just, I mean, a cat's running across, let's shoot it. I've taken an arrow out of a cat's head that somebody shot because it was there.
Yeah, part of this, and I think you're really right on something with the cattle and people like that, but also, you know, there's an epidemic of stolen dogs, it seems like, and we were talking about that. First of all, I was a little bit surprised that, you know, a lot of these dogs being stolen are not necessarily purebreds, but you're saying that that's okay. Okay, so this whole doodle creation situation, you know, the guy who invented the Labradoodle totally has said he wished he never had done it, ever, for lots of reasons, whatever. But doodles
a Labradoodle, a Golden Doodle, a Bernese Doodle, a blah, blah, blah Doodle are selling for like $3,000 a piece. Whereas your standard poodles, $1,000, maybe if you're lucky. You know, that people want these designer dogs. You know, the Puggles kind of started it as well, the Pug and the Beagle.
So when they're stealing them, then you're saying some of these thieves...
They're reselling them.
They're reselling them if they find those? Do some of them try to breed them? And would any of them stealing them for any reason have a purpose to go ahead and kill them if for some reason they can't sell them?
I mean, if you have a dog fighting ring and you need bait dogs, I mean, a Doodle's worth a whole lot more for sale than a bait dog. But I mean, look on Craigslist. How many ads do you see for, you know, dogs for sale? It's a Golden Doodle. It's only $400. What a bargain. I mean, so people steal them and resell them. Somewhere, and I want to say it's either in Miami or California, people were stealing dogs and then returning them for the ransoms that the rewards that people were offering.
Right.
You know, they're just bad people out there. And you know, that this is one of the reasons that, as we have talked about for many years, that I'm not a huge fan of electric fences. I mean, if you have an electric fence and you're home with your animal, that's great. But there is nothing stopping someone from coming into your yard and taking your dog.
That's right.
And it gets zapped on the way out, too. How fair is that? Yeah. So,
would you think on some of these animals that have been found, as a veterinarian, I'm guessing law enforcement maybe could scan them to see if there's any chips in them, right?
Absolutely.
What do you think happened there? You think maybe they did check, or?
I would say I'm pretty darn sure they would. I mean, if they don't have any tags or collars or anything like that with any identification, the next step is to scan for chips.
That would maybe find the owner, but it's not going to catch the culprit who did it, is it? Yeah, it's just disturbing, man. I hear from people all the time about their dogs disappearing, or they're upset when they see that these animals have just been shot and dumped somewhere. And I know what you're saying, but not all the animals I've seen shot and dumped. In fact, at this last location, there was actually also a goat that had been shot and dumped with all the dogs. And I'm like,
see, to me, I think the TBI is probably involved on that.
Why is that?
Well, I think that there's somebody that they need to catch. Because if that person is just shooting animals, because, I mean, what's the goat doing? Right. I mean, if they're just shooting, I mean, you watch Criminal Minds, come on. Yeah. It starts with killing animals. Well, listen, I don't want to go too much more into that, except, you know, viewers, if you have any questions or comments about that. Other than that, I think you gave the good tips. You know, you got electric fence, you just never know, someone could take it. You can chip your animals. As far as GPS, the most you can do is a GPS collar, but if someone steals your dog, you're going to take that collar off. I mean, there are several, if not many, companies. There's Whistle, and there's all kinds of other things that you can attach to their collar that you can track them. You can track their, it's like a Fitbit for dogs. You can track their activity. You can do all of this stuff, but all you have to do is unhook the collar, and it's gone.
Right, if there's someone. All right, listen, we'll take a break on that, but go ahead and chip your dogs. That's always a good thing. We can talk more about that when we come back from the break. We already have calls coming in. 737-7587 if you want to join in the conversation. We can talk about fleas, ticks, the warm weather coming up, all that and more with Allison Fields right after this. Stay with us.